people, and I feel so privileged. Some of them are inspiring to be somebody's professionals. We just had a good experience talking with Advocate Sandy.
I first got to know about her in 2009, Destiny Magazine. So to be able to speak to her, me, very happy.
How are you feeling?
It's an amazing experience. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But it makes me want to cry.
And I
can hear it in the middle of the ocean. Oh, I just can't explain. But it makes me want to cry. And I can hear it when the rain falls on my window. On a playground where children's allowed to live. Oh, I can't explain. But it makes me want to cry.
Good morning everyone, and thank you again for waking up so early to join us for another beautiful morning. We will be hosting our webinar in this beautiful venue called the, what is it? The Grill Room and Sushi Bar. Sorry guys, I've not had coffee this morning as yet. So yes, we're in Brooklyn, Pretoria, coming live to you, and would like to really just say to our repeat attendees, thank you and welcome back. It shows that we're doing something right. And for the new guests, thank you also for embarking on this journey with us. And I hope that you will stay with us and join us for other exciting webinars that are coming up. They'll be posted on our website. I'd like to thank my team at the office, the media team, for setting up the webinars, and also the guest of honor, which are the mentees that will be speaking with us today. So without further ado, I would like each mentee to introduce themselves, and I'll start by order of my firstborns. I'll go alphabetically. Matse, can you please introduce yourself to everybody? Okay, I think Matse is having some technical problems. Ophelia, can you go?
Yes, of course. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ophelia Mbata Mutale, and as mentioned by Ms. Machobane, I'm the mentee. Thank you.
Ophelia, tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do for a career?
Okay, so my career started off when I met Ms. Machobane. That was in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, but it was around there. So I was just that little girl that just wanted to make a living out of a salary until I met Ms. Machobane, who cracked that shell that I was actually, hiding myself in. So when I met Ms. Machobane, then I started falling in love with the, corporate governance, company secretary, and then I started learning from there. To date, I am doing that. So because I aspire to be one of the, major or one of the big company secretariats out there, I'm studying my law degree now, LLB degree with UNISA. So it's now called the Bachelor's of Law. So that's what I'm studying now. And I'm currently a company secretary for a chemistry incubator in Modderfontein. And I assist them with the compliance matters as well. I oversee the legal department, but to be specific, I only do the contracts, the review of contracts, the drafting of contracts. So that is where I am at the moment. And I'm only starting now my journey of becoming, I can't say a boss really, but a leader, because I now oversee, interns and other junior staff. So that's where I am at the current moment.
Okay, thank you so much for that introduction, Ophelia. We'll chat a little bit more. And then we have the newborn, one of the newborns, Boiswa. Can you please just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get chatting.
Good morning, esteemed guests, and thank you for joining us this morning. I am Wisdom Bali, a new mentee. Like, I'm sure I'm like one of the last ones to Mrs. A. I am currently a candidate legal practitioner awaiting admission next month, and an incoming law researcher at the Constitutional Court. I hold a Bachelor of Laws and a Master of Law. And you know, Mrs. A, it's interesting that you say, tell me about yourself. Because I remember the very first chemistry meeting that we had. It still resonates with me because you asked me, who are you? And like most people, I had the erroneous belief that is a regurgitation basically of the content of your CV. I'm this person, I do this there. And I soon came to realize that actually it requires a more deeper knowledge of yourself, because what you are trying to do here is build a brand. And you can't, unfortunately, build or sell a brand that you yourself do not understand. Thank you, guys. That's me.
Okay, Matsi will be joining us as soon as she can. She's just having some technical problems. The team just let me know when she's online. So last week we had a discussion with Cheryl Carolus, who is my mentor, who introduced me to the concept of mentorship. And my agreement with her is that I just need to pay it forward, because she spends her time mentoring me. And the only thing I need to do is to pay it forward. Can I please ask that you mute your mics? There's some feedback, thank you. And also your videos, because then it takes some bandwidth. Thank you. So last week we were hosting Cheryl, who's my mentor. And then as part of now continuing this discussion about mentorship and skills development, we're having this chat with my own mentees who are now part of the mentorship program. And, we just want to continue that discussion, but it's going to be more interactive, because the three of them are going to be sharing their journey that they've been on the mentorship, and they'll be focusing about what their understanding of mentorship was, whether they even knew about mentorship, what the experience was, and how they think that it prepared them to be where they are right now, and also how they see themselves, also reaching down and lifting somebody else. I think Matsiriso is online. Matsi, if you're here, please say something.
I'm here, ma'am.
Hi, Matsi. Okay,
Hi,
you're the firstborn who arrived late, but can you please just briefly introduce yourself to us, and then also where you are currently in terms of your career? I will explain, then we're going to start chatting now about the mentorship journey. So just in 2 minutes, just tell us a bit about yourself. Thanks.
Okay, my name is Matshidiso. I'm one of the firstborns of Mrs. Machawe and Ms. mentees. And it has been an awesome journey working with her. I started with her in 2015, and we parted ways in terms of company, not in terms of relationship. In 2017, I joined public sector. And in 2019, I joined a JSE listed company, and that's where I am a group company secretary now. The company I'm with, it's a holding company with 19 subsidiaries, and that's where I am now. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, my dear Matsi. So now we're gonna have an interactive discussion again. So even the attendees, if you've got questions for the mentees, please ask them, so that this is not a lecture. I'm sure you know by now that we run our mentorships in such a way that, it becomes more of a discussion, but I'm gonna be letting the mentees share their story more than anything. So Matsi, Ophelia, and Voisa, can you please switch on your camera so that everybody else can see, then we can start having that interactive session. Oh, and Happy Africa Month, people, enjoy it. Are the cameras on?
Yes, Mrs. A.
Yes.
Okay, great. So now I want us to just have a discussion, guys, about your journey. What was your initial idea about mentorship? I'll start with, O, can you go?
Yes, of course. So to be honest with you, when I first started with mentorship, I was kind of reluctant of doing this because I had a notion that the mentorship is a thing of the intellect, academics, and all of that. But it was totally a different, setup altogether. So, but what I had expected, I was expecting that I'd be sat down with a book, a lecture, do this, do that, which was totally a different thing from what I had experienced. But I thought that was what I was going to get. I just thought it was schooling. So, but I just found it to be quite different from what I thought it was.
Matsi?
With me, I had no idea. I jumped into it and not sure of what to expect. And all I knew that is that I was going to learn. And the way that Mrs. Machabane mentored us was learning in the job. Like there was no that time where you sit and then she takes you step by step. You'll go out and work, and then you come back, and then she points out, when it comes to this is how you treat this. When this happens, this is how you do it. So for me, the journey has been unique from mentorship out there. It was like a skills development kind of mentorship, more than like being in class and being told how to face the world out there. She took us out to the world to face it, rather than telling us how to face the world without us having experiencing it. So it was a very practical kind of mentorship, and I can say it played a major role when it comes to confidence and when it comes to handling any issues in the workplace, even in a personal life. That's how much she went down even to teaching us how to manage our personal lives.
Thanks. And then Vuyiswa, your experience so far, our last one?
For me, like initially when I came in, like I thought mentorship was this very intimidating thing, because like you've got like this industry grade that expects you to do this, I don't know, sort of more than competent. And for me, it's been amazing, because more than like beyond professional development, for me, it's really facilitated my transcendence into a better human and finding my true purpose. It's like having older brothers and sisters that act sort of like your sounding board throughout your journey of finding yourself and finding your feet in your career.
Okay, thanks for that. I think the identification of how you see the mentorship, and also I think for most people who've never been in a mentorship journey, you don't know what to expect. Like I said, when I was asked to be a mentee, I just said, okay, yes, because who says no to Cheryl, right? And I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. I mean, there's been days when I was like, I'm not interested in this anymore, because it's hard. You get told the real truth, and you get to hold a mirror up. And I know I'm in between myself and my xenophilia. There's been some tears in the office. They've actually did like a little sit-in for me where they were like, ma'am, we cannot do this anymore. And I was like, you're wasting my time. Just continue working and stop crying, And they know, I mean, it's all about love, and it's all about, wanting to make people, be better. As we're running this show, guys, I'm going to have a show very soon. There's questions on the side, right? So I'm going to answer them as we go along. So, and please feel free, guys, to answer, my mentees, okay? Is this mentorship only for women, or does it also include men? Any one of you can take it.
No, it's for women and men. It's not only for women. And yeah. I'll make an example. I would like to introduce Dumelo on the line. Dumelo, we met at WITS and we were studying CIS together. And pulling him into this mentorship program.
Proud of you, yes.
And I would like him to have experience and, to be able to put in practice his qualifications. So Dumelo is a guy, so the mentorship is not only for women.
Okay, yes, it isn't only for women. I mean, we don't discriminate, against gender on a gender-based, decision. We have, young people. We've got Shatadi, who joined us when she was still in high school. She's now a third-year student studying BCom. I met her through her mom, so she was the youngest then, but they keep getting younger, so, and we also have, from all walks of life, we don't say because now we think we're here, we cannot, actually interact with anybody. Everybody who knows me, Ophelia Madzi, how I am. So it is one of those things that, we pride ourselves in, that we don't choose. There's one of our mentees, I hope he's here on this webinar. His name is Jack. Jack is an engineering student, and by day he's a trolley porter. And what I do every morning is I ask God, who must I love for you today? And then God will show me. The poor child was probably scared, thinking, I'm pushing a trolley and here she's asking me about my life story. And then the rest is history. He's met my children, he's met my husband. My husband knows when I say I'm going to the shops, I'm going to see my son. We can chat for like 30 minutes, and Jack is bright. But because he wears a reflected jacket and he pushes trolleys, he's not seen. So we need to make sure that every day when we wake up, we ask God, who do you need me to love for you? We have, we also got her master's, Matsi, who's busy with the CIS, Ophelia, who moved from, one career, now she's studying law, to having people like Ndumiso on, who's got his own master's and as a competition law specialist, and it's just amazing. And these are people who get to share experiences. They get to be in the same spaces. And what I love about this mentorship is that when everybody is in the program, we do not discriminate. We don't care where you come from, what your background is. I tell my story of, going to varsity at 16, and my mother was like going through divorce, and it was a mess. It was a mess. So, I've gotten to where I am through the kindness of others and God, and if I, who knows what it's like not to have, can walk past somebody that needs, the encouragement and just that hand that says, you know what, I see you. Jack, I see you. Lwazi, he's a brilliant A student, a graduate of a paralegal studies. And unfortunately, because of the South African situation, he works in a packing shop. But we didn't say, you know what, sorry, you work in a packing shop, you just need to stay where you are. He's part of us. And as soon as we can get a gap for him, we will refer him to other people. So that is what this mentorship is about. We find the people that need us. And that's just how it works. Somebody's asking me a very difficult question here. Tabi, have you had your coffee? Morning, what is the difference between mentoring and coaching? I'm hoping I've got one of my mentors online here. I see Jeff. I don't know if Jeff wants to help me. Think about it, Jeff. Just save me. I don't know how to answer that one because I don't follow specific signs. The next question is, I envisage this initiative being spread all over the country, more especially in the rural areas. That is what it's about, Stalo. That is what we want to do, to take this initiative and take it into the rural areas. That's why we are actually growing our own timber that we can send out into the world, and then they must go and find mentees that they can mentor, because we have a set program that we use, and it can be replicated. So the aim is for the two firstborns and everybody else that has been here, at some point to say, okay, ma'am, we are ready now to get our own mentees, and then I will train them, and they will go and find the mentees that we need to bring in. So yes, we want to go into the rural areas. I lived in the rural areas in the 80s when there were riots, and I lived with my grandparents on their farm. And they are such smart kids. And then you think that currently there's no Wi-Fi in most of those parts, and those people are just lost. They just lost, and we don't know how this is going to change if we don't do something about it. So to answer your question, we are definitely going to spread this. I mean, I'll take counsel from the existing mentees on how we can do it. And yeah, we will definitely be rolling it out. So who do I pick on now? Mazi. So in terms of your career currently, I mean, you've been telling me about some of the amazing stuff that you've been doing, right? So tell us a little bit more about your experience, you know, learning about the JSE regulations, you know, having me on speed dial, and just, yeah, and I mean, being so amazing. I mean, writing your second annual report, you know, and yeah, just tell us how you find your current self from your past self. And if you look back, would you have thought that, you know, you'd be doing that currently?
Okay, I'll start by looking back. I thought being company secretary is all about taking minutes and, you know, organizing meetings. That's all I thought about it.
And making tea and closing blinds and checking the aircon.
Yes, I really thought so. Is checking how board members, how far are they stuck in traffic, you know, things like that. I thought that's our job. And I always ask myself, why is the qualifications here are so difficult for such a simple job? Because, you know, when I was studying, I was like, why do I have to study so much for such a simple job? Until I joined Inzimbi, a JSE listed company. I came here as an assistant company secretary. And within 15 months in this company, I was appointed as a group company secretary. And last year during lockdown, I had to write, we call it front section of the annual report, whereby you give governance overview of the company, and you write reports about board subcommittees. And it has not been an easy work to do. It's very challenging. And with a kind of my company, they had so much confidence in me that they did not even look for someone to proofread. So it's like I'm writing it and I proofread myself. So it has been an amazing journey, and I always go back to Mrs. Mashobane to tell her about what I'm doing, because I feel that if it was not for her taking me under her wing and teaching me some tricks of how to do this job, I wouldn't be where I am today, to be honest. I wouldn't have ability to write. I remember she told me difference between talking English and writing English. And my kids always laugh at me when I speak, because I developed the habit of talking a written English, because I don't want to make a mistake of writing a talking English. So I moved completely from speaking English. And even when I speak in written English, and I don't sound very fluent in English. But then it works for me when it comes to my job, because I tend to write proper. So, and it comes down to having someone like her to guide you. And I remember last year when I told her it's my first annual report to write. I've never worked in a listed space. I don't know how to do shareholders analysis. And we have like more than 4,000 shareholders. And she just told me to come down and I'll do it. And just those words really gave me confidence, and it was a success. And this year as well, I wrote annual report, of which we haven't released. We're looking into releasing in a month's time. It has been challenging, but it's an amazing growth that I've seen in myself in the past 2 years.
No, the thing is, Matsi, like I always said to you guys, is that you just need to be pushed sometimes. You know, you just need to be pushed, but then your attitude also needs to be, you know, one of receiving that, you know, like that pushing. And I mean, I know that most people think I'm very hard. You know, I've got a crazy side, but then there's that side that doesn't take nonsense. And I mean, Ophelia will also know, because I always tell Ophelia, you're too kind, the world is gonna eat you up, you know. Stop being kind. Say what you want to say and don't fear. So yeah, so with that, Ofi, can you just also take us through, and then I'm going to go to Vuyiswa. Guys, please ask questions in the chat because this must be interactive. If you want to know more about the mentorship, how you can join us, feel free, just ask the questions. Ofi?
Okay. Matilisa said quite a mouthful, but she said it on an academic side of stuff and, in terms of the job space as well. So I'm going to say it in terms of a personal space as well. You've touched on it a little bit now, Ms. Machobane. I was a kind of a person that was and I bold and highlight was very, kind and, introvert kind of a personality.
You up, Ophelia.
So it does not. I always explain it I always explain it to the people that I mentor at the moment, or people that are under my wing, that it does not mean that when I say you have to be bold, you have to lose your personality. You still can be kind, but know the difference between being kind and just being pushed around, because I used to allow that. But with this mentorship program, that is gone now with me. And then I'm at a stage now that I will not mention names, but I sit at the boardroom with the board members that we all, the people that are big people. And at first, I know before I joined this mentorship, before I met you, Ms. Machobane, I wouldn't even look them in the eye. And I always thought that, those big people are always right. Whatever that I'm thinking, whatever that I say, it will never be as good as theirs. So through this mentorship and through learning from you, I understand that. I was telling her the other day, I'm going to quickly share this the conversation that I had with Ms. Machobane when I needed something from her, because she's like my Google. I call her my Google. Every time I need anything, I call her any time of the day, and I appreciate that, and thank you for that, Ms. Machobane. She's available morning, night, day. She is available for me. So at that pointing moment, she was in the meeting, and I had to do something quickly. I managed to do it. So one was that she always said to me, and I was telling her that, after having spent time with you, there is absolutely nothing I will not be able to crack. So I said it earlier, I was locked in a shell, and after joining this mentorship, Ms. Machobane assisted me to crack that shell and get out of there and offer myself to the world. And then I realized that I've had so much to offer, and I still have so much to offer to this world. I wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have realized that if it hadn't been for Ms. Machobane and joining this mentorship and the rest of other mentees that I mingle with when we meet. So I really appreciate this. This is really beneficial.
Vuyiswa, Sunshine, can you go?
Have you say on mute?
Thank you, Matilisa. Thank you. I actually like what Ophelia said, because I resonate with it. Coming into the program, I used to struggle a lot with imposter syndrome. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. You often set benchmarks for yourself for when you feel good enough to collaborate or even compete with industry greats. And for me, the mentorship has really helped me to grow into myself and to grow into my passion. Mrs. A will tell you I'm a thrill seeker, like I'm forever working on something or towards something. And the program has really helped to channel all that energy and curiosity into activities which are actually aimed at advancing the master plan, so to speak. Thank you. Mrs. A, over to you.
I'm muted. So being new to the mentorship, what are your expectations?
For me, Mrs. A, is just to build lifelong connections and to be part of interesting projects that you have roped me in, such as the writing of articles as well for your website, and really just to have a network of older brothers and sisters that will act as my sounding board and guide me as people who have led the way forward and who are where I aspire to be. So I basically need characters or people that I can emulate.
So we had a question on the side, and actually two of my mentors are online, Dr. Sebo Tladi and Jeff Hardwick. So the question was, what's the question? The difference between mentorship and coaching. And I'm like, one other thing about me, I'm not afraid to ask questions, right? When I don't know something, well, I don't know it. So because I don't know everything. So don't think you're too smart, to actually ask that stupid question. Ask it, because that's the only way you learn. And I'd like to invite Dr. Tladi. Can you unmute and then just please just tell us, can you read your answer for us? And then so that if the mentees have got a question. Sebo? Sebo, are you here?
Morning, all. Thanks, Anastasia. I wrote the question, the answer down, whatever that I think is an answer. But basically, the two are a professional, and there are two of them, the two terms, they're mainly used as in a professional relationship. So the first one being a mentor, it will be a relationship with the goal of a professional on personal development. And the mentor is usually an experienced individual who shares knowledge, experience, and advice with a less experienced person, or what is called a mentee, like your mentees are doing now with you, or telling us their relationship with you. And a coach really is a paid somebody. This person is paid to do specific things. They're usually assisting a person. They're guiding that person in mapping out their own future. They are also professionally trained, and what they usually do, then they'll use their experiences in training when they are training other people. I'll leave it at that. I think that at least gives a difference between the two. But what one is to know is that a coach usually is getting paid, and the other one is not. You are not. Yes, Steve.
I don't want to get paid, right? I know I need a few new Timberlands, but I don't want to get paid for this, because all I'm doing is I'm just paying it forward. But now, Sebo, like, I like what you're saying. So basically what I'm doing is just basically abusing your kindness, right? Because Sebo is my academic coach. Sebo and I were actually studying together at Dux, but she was my senior. And when I wanted to get into the ICT space, I heard via another two sisters of mine that we studied with, Kolofelo and Kucha, that why are you struggling when there's Professor Tladi, who's like an expert in this? And I was like, whoa. So then I quickly reached out. But what I loved is that she never even asked me. She just said, why do you think I can be your mentor? And she's like, okay, we'll do it. And then the first time when I went to UNISA to go and see her, I rocked up there with my, you remember, Sebo, with my two bags, with my files perfectly mapped out. And what did you say to me the first thing?
Yeah, typical you.
Little nerd, yes. And I was like, I'm not going to change, right? Everything is in order. I had all my colored things coded out. But I mean, it's been such an amazing journey with Sebo, because I've learned a lot. And I didn't even know that there was a Black female that is like so far ahead with ICT law, and I'm learning every day from her. Yes, I also get a bit criticized. She's like, no, you didn't write this correctly. So I also take counsel. And I also actively go out to look for mentors, because I want to improve. I want to do better, because what Maya Angelou says is, when you know better, you do better. And I go out and I look for those mentors. So on another side, then it means that, Jeff, then you are basically my business coach. I'm just not paying you for it. But, so you need to go out and find the people that are far, far ahead of you, and don't be afraid. I mean, why do I always say, Ophelia, what can they do? They can just say no. And when they say no, you just shake it off, Matzi, you shake it off. And then what do? You move on, but then you need to surround yourself with people smarter than you. I know the girls always laugh. They're like, ma'am, I'm like, people don't have common sense. I just run very fast, So, but find those people that are smarter than you, and there's a lot of them out there. In South Africa, there's a lot of them all over the world, There's a lot of them. So I just want to read Jeff's answer. He says he agrees that his understanding is that coaching is more formal, whereby the coach has a formal training and qualifications, and coaching is more short-term, and focus on specific areas where mentorship is more informal and based on personal experiences and knowledge. And yeah, like now that I know, I also agree with that definition, because you'll remember with my chat last week with Cheryl, I mean, she even told you guys about my medical history. I was so embarrassed, but I was like, okay, you know, that Cheryl, like she doesn't, you know, mince her words. So with the mentors, I mean, it is a personal relationship. I mean, I know the mentees' children, I know what's happening, who's naughty, who's doing well, but thankfully nobody's naughty. Everybody's just doing very well. And it's that relationship that, you know, we know each other at some point, you know, as families, and I would want to know that my mentees are fine. And that is why we created the mentorship. And now we've got other mentors on the program, such as Advocate Funeka Tema. And then we've also added Dr. Zwangile Gumbi, who's quite busy, but then she's also assisting us. And then we have Dr. Pulani Molokwane, who is, you know, she's just our everything, right? She's like the mascot. She carries stuff in her high heels, like in a Louis, what do you call those red shoes? She will do anything. And I mean, she's a nuclear physicist. And I mean, she was holding Elsa's mic because our mic wasn't working. I mean, those are the kind of people that I'm attracted to, people who are so smart. Like, she can build a spaceship, but she's holding Elsa's mic and she's making it look so normal that, you know what, everybody couldn't even see that, you know what, we're having a technical difficulty. So I just want to check with you, who do I start with? Ophelia. So when do you think that you would be ready to take your own mentees, and why? What would make you sure that you are ready to do so?
Okay, I would say I'm ready. I'm gonna be so confident into saying I'm ready already, because I have started mentoring a few people and I'm getting feedbacks already. I can't say it's a mentorship yet. It's a practice. It's a journey towards being a mentor. Because I also am, you know, a founder of a small company that's assisting SMMEs with, you know, registering their companies. So with me, the difference between me and the other, you know, companies that are doing the same is that I don't just assist them in registering companies, but as soon as I register the company, then I follow up with them and make sure that they know, you know, different ways of getting funding and etc. So with that being a case, actually, I was thinking about it the other day that I thought I would never, ever be ready to be a mentor, but I am there already. And then it made me realize that mentorship is not about, like I said earlier, taking a book, sitting the learners down and all of that. It can be in a sense of telling your story. So every time I tell people about my story, where I'm from, where I am now, where I've been and where I'm heading to, it becomes such an inspiration to them that it does amazing stuff to you know, to their mindset that I didn't even realize. But the feedback that I then get, the messages that I get and the calls that I get, that, you know what, Sis Ophelia, this is where I am. I've got like 3, if I'm not mistaken, of the people that I'm assisting now that have opened their organizations. I was listening to you now talking about the rural areas because I know 2 of them are from the rural area. To me, it started off as, you know, I'm just assisting them being this kind me. But now then I realized that, you know what, actually mentorship, like I said, is not all about taking a book, sitting the people down, having to lecture. Your story does wonders to those people. Yes, I do have 3 open their own organizations, 2 at the rural areas, just because of the advisors, the possibilities that I was showing them that they are out there. Because, you know, I've realized, Ms. Machobane, that I think we've been setting a certain precedent to our young people, which is why I'm looking at where South Africa is at the moment, because there is that a notion and a mentality that you finish school, you go to a 9 to 5, you do whatever. So I want to take a different direction because I think I'm there now, but unfortunately I started late in doing this. I realized my potential later on in this, you know, into doing this. So that is why I'm saying, I think I'm ready. I think I'm a mentor now, seeing as I've assisted quite a few people, and it's not all about formal books, writing, sitting down, but telling a story. And I am every day telling my story, and people are loving my story. and they are inspired by my story.
Thank you, Frida. And that's what it's about, just inspiring others. And you don't even know by sharing your story whose life you're changing, because people look at some of us and they think we've always been, where we are. And they don't know, the sleepless nights and, the hard work that goes. I always say to the guys that you must be like a swan, right? If a meeting is going badly, you just sit there and you paddle under the water, but you're gliding, you're just like gliding. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, the house is burning, but don't let them see you. Don't let them see you. Don't let, anything disturb you and make you feel like, you know what, now you need to stop and change direction, because life can be hard. I just want to take a question here. Ngabakazi is asking, a lawyer friend of mine invited me here. How can I register to get future invites? Once you register for this webinar, you will get invitations. We do ask you to comply, whether you want to receive further communication. You must just click yes, and then automatically you'll get the link to the next webinar. And then also, how long is the mentorship program? Jeff has actually answered it. He says mentorship is literally non-ending. You can call on your mentor when and whenever she's available. I give an example with myself. I've been Cheryl's mentee now for 12 years. And I mean, she knows, right? She's stuck with me. I'll just pitch up at her house if she tries to let go of me. But on a serious note, I mean, it really is never ending. And, to maybe make an example, say with Ophelia, like now the mentorship has also moved to a point where my husband mentors her husband. And then her son just runs around in my house and he just does what he wants. And then, I mean, my children, the man of God, Elijah, she's got such cute kids. And I mean, I know exactly where they are at what part of their lives. So, and Vuiswa, so from your point of view, having looked at what we're doing so far, and also knowing that, I mean, you're one of those rainmakers, right? I mean, you're going to the Constitutional Court in a few weeks, just holler at us when you're there. Don't forget about us. So how do you think you're going to use this mentorship to make sure that you remain that rainmaker that you are, that cum laude LLM student that you are? So,
Mrs. A, for me, really, law school has channeled us into thinking that the only thing that you can do post graduation is to get admitted. But nobody ever prepares the graduates or the people who finish articles for life after admission, really. And I feel this is where mentorship comes in, because really the reality is that not all of us are going to make it into the Big Five or even land at competent law firms, for that matter, to finish articles. Because there's a lot of horrific stories actually about candidates taking on messenger and receptionist duties throughout their 2 years of articles. So for me, I can assist in that space by helping with getting the graduates to get the technical know-how, the necessary support actually to get through the all daunting board exams, and to just really assist them in establishing themselves, and with simple things really like drafting of pleadings. Because I mean, if you aren't at a competent firm to begin with, then I'm sure most can't even write a proper letter to their opponent, for instance. And that really does a lot to crush a person's self-esteem and ability or desire to even practice in general. And I'd like to reach out as well to law students to know that, guys, there's really life beyond court and litigation and sparring with your opponents all day, every day. There's so much that you can do with an LLB. So I'd really like to open up that space for students to start thinking beyond articles. I'm not saying they're not important. I mean, it's been an invaluable experience for me, but really it's not for everyone. Nor is it mandatory for you to pass through that journey of articles. There's so much more you can do with a law degree.
That's very true. And I mean, I always say that when you study law, and obviously I think it counts for all subjects, don't just use it for what you think, you have to be. You don't have to go to court. I mean, I don't like going to court, right? I think when I finished my articles, I sold my gown and I was like, never, never, never again. And I was like, I've got more important stuff to do, right? So, because honestly, I cannot deal with delays and, because I'm very structured. So it will drive me insane. But then, then I sit and I watch people who go to court, like Advocate Temo, and she's wearing her advocate. I'm like, maybe I should have, stuck that route. But each one to his own, guys. And like I said to the mentors, run your own race. Don't look at what's happening left and right. Admire, give credit. Don't be that friend that's always jealous of people. If a person, does something better than you, celebrate that, because it means that you're on your way. I mean, Matzi bought a beautiful car. That's one of the cars I've always wanted, right? And I'm like, but I was the first person that she sent a picture to with a ribbon. And I was like jumping up and down. I'm just waiting for a ride. I'll probably, get into that VW one day. But, on a serious note, Vuisa, you need to make it, what you want it to be. You need to take the opportunity of being in this mentorship and reach out. I always scream in the group, like, why is everybody so quiet? But it's because I know that if Vuisa's got a problem, by just writing about it on the group, somebody can answer it. I mean, Becky Zulu sent, something, and I was like, hey, I didn't even think about that. So I also get information, from the group, but your attitude determines your altitude. Your attitude really determines your altitude. If you're not going to use the mentorship, to your benefit, but also within the mentorship, find people that you can also assist. And that you always have a home here where you can bring the mentees and say, you know what, I don't know how to answer this, but then, let me just see, let me refer you to somebody. And that's why we have also contacts with people outside of the mentorship that we refer people, our mentees to. And I see, is Vishnu still on the line? Because I want to just put Vishnu on the spot. Vishnu was my boss. And yeah, and I'm still hanging on to him. He hasn't been my formal mentor, but I mean, I defer to him also for a lot of things. So Vishnu, what would you say in your view, being the kind of leader that you are, the kind of person that you are, being just a big brother, very strict, but I mean, still being available to me at whatever time that I need. How do you think that you are changing the world in your small way? Vishnu?
Yeah, I think, thanks, Anastasia, and I will always be your big brother. I think what's important is that when you're approached to be a mentor, that you very readily accept to do so. And in readily doing so, you'll find that you create this catalyst which you've now created. I often get people calling me to mentor, and I say, look, we just have to sit down and talk about this and understand exactly what you want to achieve out of a mentorship. Because sometimes people hear about mentorship and they just want to get into it. But it's very much about what do you want to get out of it, because listening to all of the conversations, one of the key objectives and things that you'll realize a mentorship helps you with is to develop softer skills, right? So you can be very technically astute, like you've just indicated, you can have the law degree. But when you're faced with board members, and when you're faced with executives, it's about how do you deal with them, how do you engage with them, how do you communicate with them, how do you actually deal with challenges, that will actually arise during the time and in your professional career. So for me, I think, to sum it up, as much as I said all of the other things, it's all about being available and being very frank and honest. I think you've raised that point. Mentorship doesn't help if you're not very direct about the issues. The other important aspect, just also listening to the conversation, is people actually coming with problems that they're actually dealing with and confronted in their day-to-day professional environment. 32 years in the corporate world, you've realized that you're not born with certain things, right? You have to experience it to learn the lessons. And it's very well if you can actually impart those lessons to others. Because sometimes, when you have a bad experience at work, you're either strong enough to deal with it, or you actually frustrates you to the point you say, I think I want to leave, right? And you don't want to run away from these, because in the corporate world or in any world, be it private or public sector, you'll always have these challenges that will arise.
No, that's very true, Vishnu. But then also, I mean, you've worked at the highest, offices, and also, I mean, currently in your current role. But you've always been, I mean, you're very strict. I mean, I'm not even going to make excuses for that. But you always have this other side that even when you used to criticize me, but you are not breaking me. How do you get that balance right?
Well, it's a very simple, I mean, and again, these are things you can't instill, right? But you can remind people, is that we all human. And the one thing that I never forget is I started off as a wage clerk, right? And having started off as a wage clerk, I remember how you always wanted to talk and engage with people above you. And you had two types of people: those people that put you back in your place because you're a wage clerk, and they didn't respect you because you were a human being, right? And then you had those that respected you as a human being, no matter where you actually ranked within the organization and engaged you. And so from my perspective, I always treat everyone as human first. And that is the most important thing, that you treat someone as a human first, and then it helps you with the engagement process in terms of whatever you might be engaging in.
That's actually very true, Vishnu. And I think it's very important for us as leaders to realize that, because I mean, I went through that experience of imposter syndrome. And then also for me, the hardest thing was that it was, one female treating another female like that. And that's why I took that bad experience and I was like, you know what, I'm going to never make anyone go through this, and I'll give them the tools to deal with that, and to know that it's got nothing to do with them, Vishnu. It's actually the other person, Yeah. And when you're in that dark space, you do need help. And for me at that time, I had Cheryl, who really helped me, to scrap off, that low self-esteem, because then I really thought, wow, maybe I'm not as smart as my parents told me to be. Because why would this one person? And then you come in and you work for somebody like you. And I mean, we were working in a boiler room, I mean, you remember managing risk, at that level, it was crazy. But I mean, you never made us feel like I could come to and ask you a question and like, Vishnu, how do I do this matrix? How do I do this? And I never got the sense that, you're rolling your eyes and say, can she just get on? But after that, my confidence levels just went up. Because I'm like, hey, if he can see the value in what I'm doing, then surely, what, it's not about me, it's about the other person. So the next time when I experienced it, I had the tools now to deal with it. And I think that is what a mentorship is about, to sort of hand over, those tools, to say, especially to women, I mean, it is bad to be bullied by another woman. It is bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just add one point, right? In handing over those tools are actually informed by many years of experiences as well. Because sometimes what you read in the textbooks are not necessarily the way you can actually handle situations, right? But when you actually hear it from people who say, this is the way I've experienced it, this is the way I actually reacted to this, this is the way I think you should react to it, it's very different, because it's coming from someone who's had the experience. And that's what, mentorship actually is meant to do, is actually meant to give you those real life experiences and learnings from those real life experiences to actually deal with the issues that you will be confronted with. And we're all confronted with so many different issues on a daily basis at work,
Yes. And I mean, to be honest, we spend a lot of time at work, right? We really spend a lot of time at work. And I mean, if the environment is toxic, you tend to carry that home as well. And it, this creates a very negative environment, because you don't even know like where it feels to be normal. And if you don't have that support system, if you have a mentor that you can, that you can call, that they will talk to you and you'll feel better. I mean, people go through so many things. I mean, mental and physical abuse. I mean, who do you talk to? And I mean, most of us, I mean, I became an executive at a very young age, if you remember, Vishnu. And then you need to deal with that. And then when you get home, I'm a mother. I'm like, now I have to cook, but at the office, it's just that confusion, because you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm a queen bee. And then when I get home, I must take off my shoes and I must start cooking. It's all of those dynamics that you need a mentor to just show you, who's walked that path, but that can be honest with you.
Absolutely. I mean, and the other thing I've learned, I mean, and the one thing you learn every day of the week, every minute, every hour of the day, you know. Just the other day, I was reading a book called Deep Work. And one of the things that it reminded me, which we got stuck into in this new work from home and work from anywhere thing, is that what might be important to someone else might not be important to you at this particular point in time, right?
Yeah.
So you must focus on what's important to you at that particular point in time. And you know, it seems so basic, but it influences a lot of things and the way you function as a person and as a professional.
Yeah, no, that is very important. I just want to take a few questions here. Somebody's asking, how do I get mentored by Mr. Vishnu? I can answer that one. You can contact us and then we'll plead your case. I know Vishnu is quite busy, but then, I mean, if you really want to, you know, have some time with him, contact us on our website, www.mashobaneadvisory.co.za, and then we will be able to pass on that request. And then, Jeff says he needs to drop off due to other commitments. Jeff is, you know, I don't even know what to say what he is, but he is just an amazing human. Thanks, Jeff, for attending. I know you're quite busy as well. And then there is, it was a comment about what areas of law do we focus in. In terms of the mentorship, we don't discriminate, like I said. If we cannot assist you, we'll find you a mentor that is in that field, and then we'll pair you with them. So you just reach out, and then we will see how we fit you into the mentorship, and we reach out to our contacts, and then they'll be able to assist you. Sebut Lady says, a mentor is someone who allows you to see hope inside yourself. By Oprah, said in brackets, Oprah Winfrey. Show me a successful individual and I'll show you someone who had a real positive influence in his or her life. I don't care what you do for a living. If you do well, I'm sure there was someone cheering you on and showing you the way. A mentor by Denzel Washington. She says, thanks for caring and paying it forward, Anastasia. Strength and wisdom for the journey. And thank you so much, Sibu. It means a lot coming from you. I have a lot of respect for you. And then Monene says, thank you, Team Machobane, for the insightful mentorship program you're offering. I think this has changed my perspective on mentorship, which offers real life experience with challenges that one is allowed to deal with them, knowing that behind him or her, there is a mentor willing to support them. I'm also happy that this mentorship supports all life dynamics, not only work-related, social, family, and personal mentorship. I'm so happy to learn that your mentorship offers a holistic type of support, as well as creating learning opportunities. Well, that is what it's about, Monene. Like, you know, if I always refer to Maya Angelou, she says, when you learn, teach. When you get, give. I mean, before I used to live very, you know, inward, but now I'm living a very selfless life. And you can read about it on my LinkedIn profile. I actually post a lot about this. So you can also reach out to me on that platform. But just to learn about what the ideas are behind the mentorship, we write a lot of articles. I mean, I've got an amazing team at the office that also manages the mentorship. So if you email us at that web info@Mashobane Advisory, Theoline will come back to you. Everybody's always on top of their game. And then we will spend some time with you, and then let's see what we can do. Oh, my baby brother Ndumiso, who's also one of the mentees, says, thank you for such an informative discussion. I really enjoyed the insights. I have to jump off. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Nduniso. I really appreciate it. Lungi, I see you. Solo, I see you. We're running out of time. You know, we're trying to just manage time because other people have got other things to do. Makwena, my buddy, I see you. Thank you so much for spending time. I know you're also quite busy. Thank you so much to everyone who's attended. Vishnu, I know that, you know what, giving us this hour is just priceless. I can never thank you. Dr. Tladi, my friend Suvi, who's always on. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night. I really thank you and appreciate all of you. Matzi, Ophelia, Vuiswa, it was awesome spending time with you. You know, I speak to you guys like almost every day, but I mean, this has been very insightful. But yeah, but find those diamonds, guys. Find them, bring them to us, and then let's change the world, hey? And to read more about this as well, get yourself the latest leadership magazine. I bought like 10 exclusive books. I think they thought I'm crazy, but I'm in that magazine, and this started 10 years ago, and I was like on a dummy cover page, you know, and I knew. So next is Forbes, eh? Like you know, So you need to get into
That's
leadership,
true.
we go to Forbes, and then, you know, we just do what we need to do. Quickly, Suvi says, thank you all for sharing your experience. I loved hearing them. I've been lucky to be mentored both officially and unofficially by some amazing persons, and I would not be where I am right now. Phew, the chat box is blowing up. I'm gonna try and read everything. And I encourage you know, everybody to seek mentorship. Paul says, thank you for the invite. Retabile says, thank you. This has been very insightful. Yes, Forbes, that's where we're going, Tando. Tando is my other babe. She's based in Zimbabwe. Very, very smart person. You know me.
Sorry, ma'am, can I please interrupt you?
Yes,
I'll
my
have,
pleasure.
I'll have to rush. I have board meeting at 9.
I know you've got a board meeting. Good luck. And I know the issue that you're dealing with, you're going to be fine. Anyway, Zambia, Tando. Oh, sorry, Tando, love. Yes, so Tando's from Zambia. Sorry, Tando. Yes, but thank you so much, everybody. We want to play out with a song. And my media team is probably looking at me very strangely now. So thank you. So thank you. See you next.
I can hear it in the crackle of a bonfire, and I can hear it in the middle of the ocean water. Oh, I just can't explain, but it makes me wanna cry. And I can hear it when the rain falls on my windowsill, on a playground where children's laughter lives. Oh, I can't explain, but it makes me wanna cry. And I can hear it in the busy New York City streets, and I can hear it in the country Georgia fields of green. Oh, I can't explain, no, but it makes me wanna cry. Sounds like grandmama telling you where you come from. Said it's kinda like laughter out of the mouths of your loved ones, or catching up with an old friend, reminiscing on back when. It's like a summertime sprinkler, street side with my ice cream cone. Said it sounds like a choir singing hymns, hallelujah. It's the voice of God. Hell, it can make a grown man cry. And I can hear it on the wind of an early morning, when the fog is getting thick and the birds are chirping. Oh, it's just something I can't explain, no, but it makes me wanna cry. And I can hear it in the hush of a midnight hour, when I'm alone in my room if I'm going under. Oh, I just can't explain, no, but it brings me back to life. It's like the sound of a newborn baby crying, yeah, like the final breath of a loved one passing. Oh, it's a beautiful thing, yeah, 'cause it leads me to the light. It's like a drive-through movie, small town with a big screen, like grilling out in the front yard. Sometimes it's the simple things, like storytelling with my grandpa. He was so easy to believe, like when the sun goes up, yeah. Sometimes it's better when the sun comes down, 'cause there's just something about the moonlight, and it can make you feel alright. Oh, it's the voice of God, and it can make a grown man cry. Yes, it can, yes, it can. It's the voice of God. It can make a grown man cry.
Voice of God, it's the voice of God. nature in the tone. Listen, listen, for the kindness, for the hope.